6 texts to make a man fall in love. In this video, I'm going to share the types of texts to send a guy to really build a deep and loving connection. It's Sabrina, your personal love advisor from A New Mode, the channel where we show you how love actually works. Okay, so in this video, I'm not just gonna rattle off a list of a bunch of texts you should send a guy. The reason I'm not gonna do this is because it won't be helpful to you. It won't serve you in any way, and it won't give you the tools to really develop a strong, loving connection and relationship. Instead, I'm gonna tell you the types of texts to send a guy. And yes, I will give you some examples, so don't worry. And I'm gonna tell you why these types of texts are so effective. This is not only gonna help you develop a deeper connection with him, which is gonna make him want you even more, it's gonna give you a better understanding of male psychology. And it will just give you better conversational tools in general so that you can really tap into the essence of who someone is. And that's how we build relationships and connections. And like I said, I will also give you some templates to use to send to your guy, but I would suggest that you tweak them a little bit to make them your own. So make sure you watch this video all the way until the end. Real quick, if you like this video and find it helpful, please give it a like and make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you get notified as soon as I post new content. And make sure to share this video and leave a comment letting me know what you think. I read them all and try to reply to everyone. Also, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming it's because you want a better understanding of how to attract a man and really form a deep connection. You want to know how to not only get him to desire you, but how to get him to commit to you. If that's what you want, I have good news. Me and my co-founder of A New Mode, Eric Charles, actually created a whole system that teaches you how to do just that. It's called Make Him Want You Bad. And in it, we reveal the secrets of male psychology and how you can use this to your advantage to really get him to not only want you, but want to commit himself to you. You can download it right now or when you're done with this video at makehimcraveyou.com, and I will include the link below. Okay, let's get into it. First, we're gonna quickly go over some important texting do's and don'ts. Number 1, don't always be the first to initiate. Men are biologically hardwired to be the hunters, so give him the space to hunt. Give him the space to pursue you. This doesn't mean you can never text him first, but you should not be the one always texting him first. And if you are, it's a big sign that he's just not that into you. Give him the space to pursue you, because when you do that, he comes to invest in you even more. Number 2, don't respond right away. Okay, I am not an advocate of playing games. I'm not telling you to, see that you got a text from him, set a timer on your phone for 3 hours from now, and then when the alarm goes off, that's when you text him back. I don't want you sitting around waiting to hear back from a guy. I want you to fill your time with other things so that you don't notice how much time passes between his texts and how quickly he responds to you. I don't want you just waiting anxiously, breathlessly for him to text you back and then pouncing and texting back right away. It's really important to just have a lot going on in your life so you're not just putting everything into this one guy and how he feels about you. Number 3, don't obsess over his texts or your texts or anyone's texts. Obsessing does not serve you. When has obsessing over anything ever taken you in a positive direction? When has any good ever come of it? So don't spend hours analyzing what he texted you and what you should text back. This is a waste of time, and this will also just create a very insecure, needy vibe that is just not attractive to be around. And this is when you might start to notice that he loses interest in you. So really just keep the obsessing and the stressing in check. Number 4, do be authentic. If you're trying to play a part in order to get him to feel a certain way about you, then you're going about this all wrong. You should not be saying certain things to get him to think that you're a certain type of girl or try to mold yourself into the type of girl that you think that he wants, because eventually your real self is going to shine through. And then what? You can't keep up the ruse forever. Also, this is just a big sign of insecurity. This is also just very desperate behavior. So rather than trying to mold yourself into what you think he wants, you should ask yourself why you feel that your true self isn't good enough. Number 5, don't be so heavy. I mean emotionally heavy. You should not be having the deep, intense, emotional conversations over text. Save that for in person, if you have to have those types of conversations at all. Texting should really just be lighthearted and fun. It should be a means to build up anticipation for when you guys can see each other again. Texting is just not the place to have the what are we conversation, or where is this going, or have a fight. If you're upset with him about something, do not confront him about it over text. It just never ends well. Too much gets lost in translation, just a bad idea. Okay, now let's talk about the 6 types of texts to send him to make him fall in love. Number 1, the I'm a woman of high value text. Okay, don't misinterpret this. I am not telling you to send him a text saying, hey, just so you know, I'm a woman of high value. That's not what we're doing here. Talk is cheap, so show, don't tell. That means that in your texting conversations with him, you show him that you are a woman of high value. I have other videos on how to be a woman of high value and how to be confident and signs of low value behavior. So definitely spend some time on my channel and check those out and watch those if this is something you want to learn more about. But one common theme is that being a woman of high value entails having boundaries. This is the most important element of having high self-esteem, high self-worth, and being a woman of high value. Having boundaries means you have a solid sense of what you will and will not accept, and you don't fold in order to please a man or get him to want you. It's very easy to fall into a predominantly texting type of relationship where you text the majority of the time, you never really talk on the phone, you see each other on occasion, you see each other here and there, and that's about it. That's all you have. And you feel like you're in a relationship because you are in contact with him all the time, but you don't really know where you stand and you don't really have that much beyond the texting. If what you want is a real relationship, then you can't allow that pattern of behavior to continue. Either this guy is gonna step up and take you out on actual dates and see you face to face, or you're gonna walk away, because you don't need a pen pal. You don't need to be some guy to be texting with all day. You need to have some boundaries when it comes to the texting. And this shows him that you have standards. This shows him that, okay, I can't just keep this girl on the back burner here. Either I need to step up or she's gonna leave. And that is very attractive because that shows that you are a woman of high value. You value yourself and you value your time, and you're not gonna waste it on some guy who's not serious. Okay, so how can you have some boundaries over text? One way is to just not engage in these all day back and forth texting marathons. You don't have to be mean about it. You could be perfectly nice and say, hey, you know, I love talking to you. I love texting with you. It's just so hard for me to focus on my job or focus on other things, but I'd love to continue this conversation in person. And that just opens the door wide for him to ask you out and make a date to talk about it in person. If he doesn't, it just shows you where he stands and how he feels. You can also end the marathon texting by saying, I can't really talk now, I'm really busy, I have a lot going on, but why don't you give me a call later around 9 o'clock or whatever, and see what he does. If a guy is serious about you, then he will call you right at 9 o'clock. He will want to continue the conversation. If he's not serious, then he's just gonna give you some excuse like, oh, I fell asleep, oh, I forgot, and he'll just keep texting you when it's convenient for him and then kind of disappearing. And again, you'll be in that state of like this texting only type of relationship where you don't really have much else beyond that. Essentially, a lot of women are afraid to put up boundaries because they're scared that the guy's gonna think that she's not interested or that she's being too demanding. But honestly, guys are so turned on by women with boundaries, women with standards. What's a turnoff is a woman who's just needy, a woman who's just waiting in the wings, waiting for him to text, waiting for him to choose her, to pick her, the pick me woman, which has become like a popular trope. You don't wanna be that girl. That's a turnoff. That's what gets you stuck in these dead-end relationships with guys who take you for granted. It is super attractive to have boundaries and say, this is what I want. If you can't give it to me, then I'm on to the next. Number 2, the I wanna know you text. It's very easy to get swept up in the artifice of who someone is. We can easily fall in love with a persona or an idea of someone. In fact, I think this is just all too common. The majority of the time we fall in love with the idea rather than the actual person. When you tap into who a man is at his core, when you really break through his walls and connect with who he truly is, that's what makes you stand out from the rest. And this is the real secret to seduction and getting a man to commit and fall in love. People have it all wrong. Seducing a man is not about getting him to want to sleep with you, because the fact is, that's not a hard thing to do. It's very easy to get a man to want to sleep with you. Seducing a man is about tapping into his essence and drawing that person out. When you do that, he literally becomes addicted to you because you are the woman who sees what no one else sees. And not only that, you appreciate him and come to care about him even more after having seen the real him. It means that you're able to speak to the man behind the mask. Now, I want to say, Eric and I have been using this term for years and years, and of course, we're talking about a metaphorical mask, not a physical mask, but these days, you know, you have to make that clear. We're not just talking about his physical mask here. We are talking about his metaphorical mask, the metaphorical mask that he wears out in the world, the persona that he wants to project, the man that he wants other people to see him as. You don't just interact with that person. You go beyond that. You interact with the real him. In psychology, this is called the shadow self. The shadow self is the part of you that contains the parts of your personality that you don't necessarily want to admit to having, even though that's the real you. That's who you truly are. Maybe you present yourself as someone who's super tough and no nonsense and my feelings never get hurt, I never get upset. But deep down, you are very soft, you are very emotional, you are very vulnerable. That's your shadow self. That's the part that you don't necessarily show to the whole world, but that's the real you. When you tap into that shadow self and engage with that shadow self and draw it out of him, and not only that, you accept him and care about him even more after seeing that side of him, that's when you really break down his walls and are able to truly build a real and meaningful connection. So if you follow me on Instagram, then you know, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, @anewmode, but I've recently gotten back into the Bachelor, Bachelorette franchise. I used to love the show and watch it, but then it got a little too ridiculous for me, but now I've circled back around, I'm into it again. And if in watching the series again, you can see this at play. You have like one person dating 30 other people, but you will notice that the people that stand out and become front runners are the ones that get the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, whichever it is, to open up, to share their real self, their shadow self. That's when, and you'll notice conversely, like when one of the contestants opens up and shares parts of themselves with the Bachelor or Bachelorette, they come to care about that person even more. So that's just something interesting that I've noticed. And if you watch the show, then you'll notice this at play as well. Okay, but that aside, so how do you do this over text? Like I said earlier, in general, you should leave the heavy stuff to in person, but texting can be a great way to build up anticipation, to build up excitement, to kind of peel back the layers of a person, which will get you more excited to see them again, which will get you thinking about them more and more. So you can dabble with this via text, or you can use like the text I'm gonna suggest as in-person questions or in-person talking points. But here are some good deep questions that will really open him up and reveal his shadow self. If you could write a note to your younger self, what would it say? What was the happiest period in your life? What is the best compliment you've ever received? What is your proudest accomplishment? What makes you feel truly alive? And what is one lesson you wish you had learned sooner? Now, I have so many questions like this. We have a bunch of articles on A New Mode of questions to ask a guy, questions to text a guy. So definitely check those out as well, because I have like hundreds of examples. But again, it goes beyond just asking the right questions. It's about really listening and really seeing the real him. And what blocks you from doing this is when you obsess and when you stress. Like, that is the worst thing you can do. And that is the /1 cardinal sin that most women do that messes up their relationships. So really just keep that in mind and just quit it with the obsessing. Number 3, the I admire/appreciate you text. This ties into seeing him. Appreciation isn't just about recognizing what he does, although that is important. It's about seeing who he is and appreciating him for it. If you are a regular reader of unnatural.com, or you've been watching this channel for a while, you're familiar with me, my books, my content, you've heard me talk about this a lot because it is the most crucial, most important thing you can understand about men. Men are starved for appreciation. Appreciation is like oxygen to a man. If he doesn't get it, he will just wither and die. I mean, well, he won't wither and die, but the relationship will wither and die. A man will never commit to a woman who does not truly appreciate him. And if he does end up committing to her, then he will just end up completely miserable in the relationship, because men cannot be in a relationship if they don't feel that sense of appreciation. Obviously, women need this too, but most women need to feel adored and cherished more than they need to feel this sense of appreciation. Again, I'm just generalizing here because it's easier to do that. I'm not saying this is true of all men, all women. So in terms of texting, don't just send him general things. Think about things that are unique to him. If you're gonna send him like a compliment or something over text, don't send him something like, "You're so handsome," because that could apply to millions of other guys. You have to pick something that is special and unique to him. Instead, you could say something like, "I really admire how you really listen when you ask someone a question, and you really hear what they have to say without just jumping in and waiting for your turn to talk. Not many people do that, and it's really admirable." This is unique and specific to him and shows that you have an appreciation for who he is. Other examples are, "I really admire the man you are. You inspire me every day." This literally, that one is like music to a man's ears, just saying. Be careful with that one. It's a powerful one. Or, "You have such a great laugh. It instantly puts me in a good mood." Or, "You really are a gentleman, and you don't really see much of that these days." You get the idea. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it's really important to make these unique and obviously make them unique to your guy. And do not do anything with the intention of just making him fall in love with you. It's not about doing things in order to get him to fall in love. It's doing things to build a connection. And that in turn is what makes a man fall in love with you. Showing appreciation is the #1 way to truly capture a man's heart and get him to fall in love with you. And like I said before, do not use this power for bad. You have to use it for good. A man will never let himself truly fall in love with a woman who doesn't appreciate him, a woman who just takes him for granted, or a woman who just doesn't truly see him for the man he is. If you want to know more about what it takes to make a man truly fall in love with you, then I highly suggest you check out our Love Formula system. It is an amazing program that goes deep into male psychology and will teach you exactly how to capture his heart. You can get it at getloveformula.com, and I will make sure to link it down below. Okay, number 4, the feel-good text. Men move towards what feels good. That's another thing I say a lot on this channel. When it feels good to be around you, he'll want to be around you. When it feels good to text with you, he's gonna want to text with you. When it doesn't feel good to text you, when it feels like a chore, when it feels like something he has to do, otherwise you're gonna get upset, you're gonna get angry, you're gonna yell at him, and he's not gonna want to do it. He's just gonna put it off, or he's just gonna say like, oh, like I just can't deal with this right now, I'll deal with her later. And the more you make texting unpleasant, the more later is just never gonna come, and he's just gonna ghost, you're never gonna hear from him again. If you want him to text you and to enjoy texting with you, and you want him to really come to like you even more through your texting exchanges, then you have to make them fun, pleasant, light, and enjoyable. That's the key here. Send him texts to let him know you're thinking about him, or that he makes you happy, or that you just can't wait to see him. Some examples are, no one makes me happy the way you do, or I love the way I feel when I'm with you, or I can't stop laughing about that story you told me, you are so hilarious, or I absolutely adore you, just FYI. Number 5, the mystery text. Okay, so I am no advocate of playing games, but at the same time, it is important to just leave some blank space for him to fill in. Or we could call this being a bit of a mystery. What that means is if he texts you something like, hey, how's your day going? You don't need to give him an itemized list of every single thing you did that day and every single thing you ate and every person you talked to and everything you did. Let him fill in the blanks a little bit. Leave a little bit of mystery. Leave a little room for something to talk about in person. And if you're in the very early phases of a relationship, you guys are just dating, you're not official yet, that's when it's really important to just leave some blank space, because the fastest way to get a guy to commit is when he fears he might lose you to some other guy. And if he senses that you're a woman who has options, you're a woman who has a full life, you have a lot going on, and he doesn't always have a sense of where you stand or what you're doing or if you're dating other guys, that's really what's gonna get him to step up. Men fall in love in a woman's absence more than her presence. It's really when he's thinking about you that he comes to care about you even more. So that's why it's important to just leave a little bit of a mystery. Again, this is not playing games. This is just letting him fill in the blanks a little bit. Number 6, the happy memory text. We can also call this the you make me happy text, because another really important thing to understand about men is that a man needs to feel like he can make the woman he's with happy. If he doesn't feel that he can do this, he will not want to be with her. Men are very driven and very motivated to make a woman happy. And yes, I know sometimes they fail miserably. Sometimes you're like, what? Like, how can he have no understanding at all of what it is I want or I need without me spelling it out for him? Yes, that's true. That doesn't mean that the baser instinct for a man to want to make his woman happy isn't there. It is a very strong driving force in a man. And you really need to realize this, because then you can show him ways that he makes you happy, or you can gently spell it out for him. I mean, it's really important not to set him up to fail. You want to set him up to win. So tell him how to make you happy, and he will. And he'll appreciate having that direction. When you send him happy memory texts, it shows him that you're happy with him, that you really enjoy him, you're happy about the relationship. And this is what's gonna get him to drop his guard a little more and feel even more bonded and connected with you. You can send him pictures of fun times that you guys have had together, or just memories. Just, you could say something like, oh, I drove by that restaurant where we had our first date and it just really made me smile. Anything of the sort. This one I'm really gonna give you free reign over, and just think about the happy memories you've had with him and text him about those memories. Give him something to smile about and to brighten up his day. This will inspire him to do even more for you, because then he's gonna realize that you are someone who truly appreciates him and appreciates the effort he puts into things, and that you're really happy with him. And he wants more of that feeling. He wants more of that feeling of being the guy to make you happy. So those are our texts to make a man fall in love. What did you think of this list? Please leave your thoughts, your feedback in the comment section. Now, in this video, we just focused on texting, but if you want a better understanding overall of what makes a man fall in love, what makes him desire you and want to commit himself to you, then definitely check out our Make Him Want You Bad system. You can download it right now at makehimcraveyou.com. I will link it down below, and I will see you in the next video.